Funding for the art show was made possible by Montgomery County Arts and Cultural District, the Virginia W. Kettering Foundation, proud supporter of the arts in our community, and viewers like you. Thank you.
In this edition of the art show, a Centerville artist aided Allied forces.
Of course, the war was going on, and I was anxious to do what I could to help.
Meet a hip-hop artist from Toledo.
You know, I've had people tell me, man, this song right here changed my life.
See the world in 360 degrees.
A Little Planet is a way to view one location where everything is focused on that one location.
And an anonymous duo invades the Columbus College of Art and Design.
Like, oh, who did that chalkboard? And it felt very, mischievous.
It's all ahead on this edition of The Art Show. Hello, I'm Rodney Veal, and this is The Art Show, where each week we showcase local, regional, and national artists and arts organizations. First up tonight is Virginia Krause-Hess. She's been an art student, art teacher, and artist in the Dayton area since she was 12 years old. Virginia doesn't just document history in her art, she is history.
Both my dad and my grandmother encouraged me a lot in art. Some of the other members of the family thought it was kind of a waste of time, but I didn't pay too much attention to them. When I was 16, I graduated from high school and started a job at Wright-Patterson as an illustrator. It was interesting working at the base because my salary enabled me to take flying lessons, and I was thrilled to get to do that. And I was very interested in aircraft, and of course the war was going on, and I was anxious to do what I could to help. I did illustrations of airplanes, silhouettes of airplanes, and these silhouettes were used by the Allies to discover who was the enemy and what planes belonged to us. Our military had been very concerned about the fact that the Japanese had a plane called the Zero, and we happened to capture one. And I was allowed to go out on the flight line and crawl through and do drawings of that plane. I crawled into it, and I was amazed that this airplane was constructed with bamboo and rags inside, whereas we had wood struts and very particular about the way we made our airplanes. But it was so maneuverable. And finally, our people came up with the P-51, so that was a good competition for the Zero. I wanted to get back into fine art instead of commercial art, so after a year, I thought it was time for me to go. And I went on to art school then. I think everyone has a certain amount of creativity in them. And I think it's up to teachers and family to pull this out. I taught for about 25 years in Springfield at the Art Museum, also taught in Cincinnati and the Art Institute in Dayton. I work with wood, and I love wood carving. The wood tells you what to do. You may have a preconceived idea that you can get that image out of the wood, and almost always you had to change your mind because the wood tells you which way to go, and the old saying, going against the grain, is so true. You can ruin a piece of wood forcing your own opinion on it. I think the greatest joy is when I first start on something. It's the early part of the sculpture or painting that is the most satisfactory. I do my armature and start out with a clay rendering. And then you take the clay rendering to the foundry, and they make a wax rendering. and then they encase the wax in a form of plaster and burn it out with a hot metal. And that's the simplified explanation of casting in bronze. I did Charles Taylor, who was the Wright brothers' mechanic, and one of those is at the Smithsonian. There's another one that was just unveiled out at the National Museum at Wright-Patterson. I'm very proud to have had the opportunity to do those of Charles Taylor because he was the Wright brothers' mechanic, and he's the one who built the engine that allowed them to be first in flight. And he's getting some due recognition. I just finished Veterans Monument at Stubbs Park in Centerville. When I met my husband, he was just recovering from a severe wound that he had gotten on his side of his body. And I really wanted to show that situation. And it showed my husband seated there with a wound on his head and neck and a medic attending him. And this minister in the bas-relief is holding my husband's helmet, which had a dent in it. My husband said he could put his fist in this dent in his helmet. And he was so proud of his country that they had given him such wonderful equipment to save his life. We really owe them a great, great deal. When they give their lives and body, brains, and everything to help us, we really owe them a lot of gratitude. When you have a passion for something that's creative, and it could be photography, it could be cooking or sewing or anything. If you have that passion, you have to have that because that gives you the inspiration to keep going when you get down and things get a little bit tough on you. I lost my husband, and it became my companion for a while. It's the spark that keeps you going, and it's the same thing that gets you up in the morning and makes you anticipate the day.
Virginia has a gallery and studio in Centerville, which is open by appointment only. Check out her website, vkhessartist.com, for details. Better yet, visit Centerville's Veterans Memorial in Stubbs Park to see some of her bronze bas-reliefs.
Are you an artist or know an artist with an interesting story? Pitch it to us. Send an email to theartshow@thinktv.org. Include contact information and links to performances or art samples online.
Marcus Harrison, also known as Stress, is a hip-hop artist from Toledo. His content has gotten more serious and realistic in the past 10 years, steering him away from the clubs and into the studio.
My name is Marcus Harrison, and a lot of people know me as Stress. The word stress is an acronym. It's spelled SSTRES, and the actual meaning of that is still standing through rhetoric and everything senseless. Stress is a hip-hop artist, born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. Stress was born probably when I was about 18. I used to be in a group called Common Ground. We did 2 albums together, 2 group albums.
I done came too far, don't wanna go back. Someday the end, don't wanna know that. I guess that's why I stay broke back.
I used to be concerned with, getting signed to a major label, and, I'm not really concerned now with getting signed to a major label. I mean, I'm 34 years old. I highly doubt that a major label would be that much interested in me at my age. My goals now are really concerned with licensing music for film and TV.
Stress and I have worked on music for video games. We've worked on music for video game trailers, and we've also worked on music for television shows, primarily dance, club, and hip-hop tracks that would be underneath dialogue in a television show. My name is Matt Fair. My production and writing name is Mighty White. I met Stress back when MySpace was relevant. I was putting music up that was for sale, and he somehow found it and gave me a call, and that's how we met.
The rest is just history. Ever since then, ever since we got together, we have just gelled and been able to make some good music, and he's the type of guy that he's gonna push me if he sees that you know, I need some extra encouragement, and I'm the kind of guy that I'm gonna push him if I see he needs some encouragement.
The working relationship that Stress and I have is, I think, fairly unique. It started out as a formal producer-artist relationship, and after maybe an album and a half, we got to the point where we were really good at reading each other and knowing what the other one was going to say. Yeah, hip-hop is definitely a collaborative process. You know, it's not just one person putting the song together. You have a writer, you have someone that takes care of the engineering, someone that produces the music, and then obviously you have the artist that's performing, so.
You know, the music that I do, how it's done and how it's processed is very similar to, you know, popular artists these days.
We all have very similar tools, but it's almost as how would one artist use a certain size paintbrush as opposed to another artist.
You know, and then you write the lyrics, and then you go in the booth and in the studio and you record it, and then after you record it, the engineer mixes everything down and sweetens the audio to, you know, your specifications or their own specifications, and then, you know, after that is distribution.
I don't necessarily sit down with an idea like, I'm gonna write this today. I always sit down, start with a name, and let the name kind of dictate the mood and the flow. And I honestly kind of treat it as if the music's already out there and I'm just a conduit.
You know, I've had people tell me, man, this song right here changed my life. In what way, I don't know. But at the same time, it's like, to me, that's crazy. That's just a great feeling.
When I first started writing music, you know, of course I wanted nice cars and a bigger house, but it's not really anything of interest for me to worry about the money. I just want to make the best music that I can.
I think that I've just matured, you know, over time, as most people do. You know, a lot has changed since 18, you know, just starting out. You know, I've graduated from school, you know, I'm more responsible as an adult now. You know, I have a family. I just had a son, he's 1 year old, and you know, anybody that has kids understand what I'm talking about when I say a kid will change your life, and, you know, turn your life upside down in a good way, though.
Cream of the crop, so I rise to the top. Got a chick on my hip that I call hip hop. Made time to write because the beat was high. I don't need a last one, proceed to rock. And you need to stop with what you sent to me. You ain't a friend of me, you my enemy. Cause I stand on my own and I gotta get going, so I don't waste time and energy.
I think my content has changed because my priorities have changed. So my content is a little bit more serious. Not to say that it wasn't serious before, but it's just that much more serious now that I do have a child of my own.
56 years old, crippled Vietnam vet. His only dream was to follow in his dad's footsteps. A soldier for the cause, protector of the flag. In the prime of his life, it was all he ever had. His wife left.
In the future, what you can expect from Stress is hot music, good music, music that inspires people, music that educates people, and music that touches people.
Did you know we have several recording studios in the Miami Valley? Great music happens everywhere, and Rephrase Recording Studios has been recording some of that greatness for 30 years, right here in Kettering.
Hello, my name is Christopher Etch-Weyrich, and I have an artist tip for y'all. If you're using spray paint, you get the stuff from your store, it's all puffy and not a clean line, you're wondering how I get these clean lines? Very simple, you have custom nozzles and low pressure spray paint ordered special, made special for spray painting. So you can see you get very clean lines with it. It's like a thin tip. If you're covering larger areas, you get a fat cap, call it. Makes nice big letters and lines. So you can get different nozzles to get different effects with spray paint and cover large areas. That's my tip.
Everything may be bigger in Texas, but for Houston-based photographer Sid Moen, who specializes in wide-angle photography, it's all about making the world into little planets.
My name is Sid Moen, and I'm a Houston photographer. I saw a little planet about 4 years ago on the internet, and I thought, I can do that. And I found it very interesting. I've always been intrigued with the spatial aspect of spherical photography. VR photography is virtual reality photography. So if you've ever gone to Google Maps and looked at a street view and where you can pan around and see 360 degrees around that block, that's VR photography. A stereographic projection is a mapping term, and that's how a 3D sphere is mapped 2D. But you see a globe, you know, the Earth, that you can kind of turn. Okay, that's a 3D thing. But you can also see maps of the world that are 2D, and that would be a stereographic projection. I take 30 photographs. So I take a picture, picture, picture. So it's 360 degrees all the way around, and I get all the sky and all the ground. Then I take it into the computer and I stitch the image together. There are a lot of seams, so there's a bit of time in that. And then I use mapping software to help me get the little planet view. A 360-degree panorama is a spherical image, and you can see the 3D aspect on a computer. But a little planet is the same image, only it's mapped 2D. That's the way you see the whole image around you. What I like about little planets, it's not like a traditional panorama where you're kind of looking like this. It's all in front of you, and I think that's what attracts me to it. And it's different. I like that it's different. It's a little surrealistic, and I like that. And I'm always surprised at people who can say, oh, I know that. I mean, it's like I said, well, you get an A+ because you named all the locations, because sometimes I think some of them are a little obscure. I think what first attracts people is whether it's an iconic image, let's say like the River Oaks Theater, which everybody loves that one. And I want you to look at that, and I just want to attract you to my art first. And usually that's what it is. It'll be some iconic image that people know or resonates with them. But once they get into it, then they start kind of looking around, and you'll see people kind of turning their head, because they're kind of looking around, and they're going, oh, there's that shop there, there's that. So you do kind of connect to a place, even though it may not be the big fancy place. It's the little place that you see. Well, my favorite one is the shrimp boats. It was taken down in Galveston, where the shrimp boats come in. I can't get the view now because there's a building, but it was a spectacular sky, and I love being down by the water, and I think, working people are interesting too. Little planets. It's kind of the idea that the world revolves around me, and a little planet is a way to view one location where everything is focused on that one location. And you can see all around it, but maybe you're focusing a little bit more on one part. And it's just kind of a celebration of place.
Visit sidmoen.com to see more little planets. What date and landmark do you think would make a great little planet? Email us at theartshow@thinktv.org.
To view any of tonight's stories again or watch an episode in its entirety, watch The Art Show on demand at thinktv.org/The Art Show. You'll also find bonus features and extended interviews on select artists.
The anonymous duo known as Danger Dust loves chalk. Each week at the Columbus College of Art and Design, under the cover of darkness, they erase the previous message and start all over on a clean board with an illustration that can take up to 10 hours to create.
just love the idea of taking something that's like ordinary and then turning it into something that's like special. Yeah.
Chalk is just so, it's in every classroom. You've been exposed to it since you were a little kid, and asking something to do something that it's not intended to do. When we first started it, just no one knew who was doing it just because like it was so new, and it was kind of like we were graffiti artists in some way, like, oh, who did that chalkboard? And it felt very like mischievous, and so we wanted to come up with a name that was like sort of played on that, like, yeah, it's graffiti, I guess, but it's like not at all at the same time.
Yeah. We are both advertising graphic design. We have minors in copywriting.
I mean, neither of us had ever done chalk before, and it just seemed like a fun, easy thing to do. And when we first started, we didn't think it was going to be this big. Yeah, we'll come in, like we'll do the planning beforehand.
It takes at least a day to plan, just to like figure out like what quote you're searching for.
We have a catalog of quotes, and this one's been one that we've been wanting to do for a while. I don't know, we just thought of like, we brainstormed like kitchen utensils that would be fun to draw, and obviously gotta have some butter in there. We added the book and the cloth, like the towel on the bottom and the top at the last minute.
Because we wanted to fill those spaces just because they felt a little empty.
I didn't want to put eggs on there just because I thought they'd be a boring shape. We both love to draw, but neither one of us are really great at drawing like
without a reference.
Yeah, if someone asks us to draw like a person or a dog or something, we would both need to look at a reference. But with letters, you can just draw them, and they can be as abstract or as not as you want, and
That's just fun.
that's what I love about it.
Just pure chalking time is usually 5 or 6 hours. One of the boards took like 9 hours, and like we're coughing up chalk dust.
We close the doors so that while we're working, no one can like come in and see. This is the only classroom that has locks on both of the doors, so that's why we've staked this one out. This week was the first time that we tried sharpening the chalk.
Yeah, sharpening the chalk and then paintbrushes. That was fun. Well, flour just felt like a very like light, airy, kind of fluffy thing, and blending it felt more natural with the brushes.
You know, you get a different effect from it, like when you're using your hands to blend it, when you're using a cloth to blend it, when you're using a Q-tip, and we've realized now with the brush.
We use Q-tips. We've used a lot of Q-tips.
But they're nice for like, especially like if you get them wet, you can like clean a sharp edge with them. The fact that it's only a week helps you just like let it go. Really, that's my favorite part of it, the fact that it's like gone. It's kind of liberating because like the work you do like for your school projects, it's so long and drawn out and extended, but with this it's like something new every week. It's chalk.
Yeah, it's never gonna be perfect. Breaking away from your comfort zone is a good thing.
Some of the first quotes we did were quotes that like one of our teachers told us in class that they really influenced me, and I guess part of it was just wanting to share that. It's fun working with your hands and getting your hands dirty and like feeling exhausted, like when you're done with it, putting your whole body into something.
I can be doing 4 things at once while I'm working on the computer, but with chalk, you have to just be doing like chalking.
Because you have Q-tips and brushes and chalk and rags in your hands.
You have to like go up in the corner and stand on a chair and then go down to the other corner to fix that smudge, you know. We're an anonymous duo of chalk artists, and every week we create a new chalkboard, and after that week is over, we come back and erase it and do another one.
Their designs have generated a healthy following on social media, where everyone is asking, just who is Danger Dust? Look them up. And that wraps it up for this edition of The Art Show. Please take time out of your schedule to go see some art in the local area. It's fantastic. Until next time, I'm Rodney Veal, and thanks for watching.
Funding for the art show was made possible by Montgomery County Arts and Cultural District, the Virginia W. Kettering Foundation, proud supporter of the arts in our community, Ohio Arts Council, Ohio Humanities Council, and viewers like you. Thank you.